Okay, live start.
Okay, should I start? Okay, welcome to the live session. Sham, over to you.
Hello, viewers. Welcome to this first live session for the course Technology Forecasting for Strategic Decision Making by Dr. Bala Ramadure for the January-May 2026 semester. In this introductory session, Dr. Bala will be answering the questions based on the initial weeks of the content that is being offered via NPTEL. So here is a brief snapshot of Professor's profile. He is currently the co-founder and CEO of Spirelia, a pre-incubated startup at Nirman IIT Madras. He is also an adjunct professor at Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, Pune, and also a guest professor at IIT Madras BS degree programs. He is also an international visiting professor at the Universidad Panamericana, Mexico, and he has authored a book called Karmic Design Thinking, which is available on Amazon and Pothi.com. He has 3 patents through his credits, and he is a PhD from Arizona State University and BTech from IIT Madras. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Sham, for introducing me. First of all, thanks to all the learners for registering for this course. Hopefully, you have a great experience in learning about technology forecasting, learning about how to apply technology forecasting in any technology that you choose. We feel that you should get introduced to the methodology and the principles of technology forecasting in this course and apply it back to any technology of your liking, of your choice that you're working on, and or you're very interested in pursuing that. The methods that we describe here will help you a lot. And of course, you know that if you get stuck somewhere, you have a problem, or you have some thoughts to share, you can use these live sessions. This one is the first one of the kind. We have one more just before the exam that you can attend and talk about. We will talk about the exam that is going to come up. So we will help you with that. This session is primarily to focus on addressing and answering any questions, any thoughts, anything that you would like to us to clarify, go in more detail, we can help out with. Um, the content was originally created with Professor Dimitri. If you want, I can also carry those questions back to him, and or you can ask us also. We can answer these questions. We can clarify. But one of the biggest recommendations I always have, and I've already said that, is apply it, apply it, apply it. So apply the methods here, and you will gain a lot of experience from that. This is how we have learnt it, and we would recommend the same. Um, the methodology that you will see in this course is about two things primarily. One is the qualitative aspect of the technology, right? So, what is the technology? How does it work? What are the components that make up the technology? All of that goes into a technology, right? So that's the qualitative side of things, or to reuse what we already talked about in the course, which is to use orgware, that is what governs this technology, the software, the knowledge, the rules associated with the technology itself, how do we use it, and the hardware, what goes into making the technology work. So these are the three things that bare essential that you will need. This course is just not about technology, but it's about the usage in context. It could be a business context, it could be to generically, it could be an organizational context. Where is it that this technology is used, and how would you like to use the forecast that you get out of this exercise forward. So that's all in the qualitative part of it. There is also a quantitative side of the technology. So one of the books that I really like and would recommend, and probably we've talked about it in the course also, is a book by Hans Rosling. Professor Hans Rosling wrote a book called um, I'm missing the term now. It's Factfulness. Yes, Factfulness is a great book about how you can, uh, s- he talks about it very simply. He says, you cannot have a story without numbers, and you cannot just rely on numbers alone. So you need both, right? So the story was the qualitative part of side of things, and the quantitative is the numbers. So we need to look for numbers, but which number to look for? And that's the whole methodology about. The methodology is about trying to get these numbers. Which variable should we look for? What is the system look like? How does it actually work? Put all of this together and find out what is it that is stopping it from evolving. That one or two or three variables, those will dictate how the technology is going to proceed in evolution. And that will give you a very good sense of how do you predict the future, so to speak, or futures in plural. So then you can be ready for the future. This course is not about you trying to predict the future well or not. It is about being ready for it. So that's why the organizational context is important. So you start with the organizational context, figure out what is the technology, figure out the qualitative and the quantitative side of it, and find out how is it that you will be ready for the future. Once you have this, you've done all of this work, then you can take your decision. And that's where the strategic decision making comes in, right? So you have to really look at this part. So these are a few the basics of this course itself, the nuts and bolts of the course itself. What each of these goes, how can you be wrong with the qualitative analysis? How can you go wrong with the quantitative analysis? What are things that you should watch out for? Things that you should pay attention to? All of this form part of the course that you will see. Um, there's also the element that I haven't mentioned, but it's important, is the time element, right? So you need to know about the past in order to forecast into the future. So that's the last aspect, last dimension to the whole thing. So you can know about qualitative, you can know about quantitative, but you need to know the time dimension as well. So what was the technology that was used before? What is the function that was delivered? And what is it? You will see a lot of examples given in the video. You can use that to start with, small things that you look around yourself. I think I've talked about mosquito bats and many things like that. So you can use many of these examples around you and see how they evolve. That's one of the exercises that I give my students also, is to look at some technology in their household or in your college or in your office and see what was it before this, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what does it look like? What was it before? And now how is it? What does it look like? And then now you can try and predict the future, saying this is what might happen. Now we know the past, you know the present. Can you predict the future? So this is very, very roughly that's what the principle of the system operator is, which you already also see in the course. Okay. So these are a few things that you will keep seeing in the course. Um Again, have fun with it. You will go wrong, you will go right. And of course, there are lots of generative AI tools. Use that with caution, of course. The usual caution is it may hallucinate, it may give you creative answers, which may or may not be right. So make sure you vet the answer. Either do a counter search somewhere else or ask somebody who is an expert in the field or has been working in that field for a while. Does this make sense? Is it counter to what you would predict or what you would see? Generative AI can also help you with that, with a good amount of caution, addressed to that. So that's about the quick summary I wanted to give you about the course. Um, Shyam, do we have any questions? I don't see any participants in this Zoom meet, but if there are any questions, we can take it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. There was one question on the discussion forum. It's from Visu, and he's asking if we could explain the difference between efficiency and effectiveness using some examples. The matrix that is described in this course, I have taken a snapshot of that same and put it here.
Hmm.
So if any of the examples that comes to your mind, if you could share here, it would be helpful for the learners.
Okay, great. Um, yeah, as the graph rightly says, thank you for sharing that, Shyam. As the graph rightly says, doing the right things and doing things right. So these are two opposing dimensions. One is about being very, very quick in tackling something, which is the efficiency part of it. Do it very, very quick and be done with it. uh, but effectiveness is not about the speed at which you do anything, but it's about the right things. Are you solving the right problem or not? Whether it takes long or doesn't take long, it doesn't matter. Are you doing the right things? Okay. So kind of like if you think about it, a dartboard, a target practice that you use a bullseye. Um, if you can get the target uh, you say, let's say you shoot, keep shooting it, okay? And when you shoot it, it lands at the exact same spot every time, okay? That means you're very efficient. It's absolutely awesome. You've trained yourself to land at the same spot every time. But it's not the bullseye, right? Bullseye or the center where the target is way off, right? You've been doing it very well, but in the opposite direction. So that's being very efficient. You're very efficient at attacking the exact place. You're very repeatable, very reliable, but doing the a different thing than what is expected. But that is being efficient. Effectiveness is you somewhere get the near the target. You're not exactly on the target, but you're somewhere. All your efforts are in the right direction. It sort of lands somewhere near the target. You're not getting it exactly right on the target where it has to land, but you're getting it somewhere. There you're being very effective, but not very efficient because it doesn't land on the target every time. Of course, like this chart says, the ideal way to do it is land on the target and repeatedly every time, right? So you're on the right target and you are also landing exactly at the target every single time you aim for it. Okay. So let's say you're in customer service. Okay. One example I can think of is customer service. Okay. So in customer service, like say customer support, you get a calls and you answer them. Uh, you seem to solve or close the call very, very quickly. In 2 minutes, your call is done. You're unbelievable. However, you find that same call customers keep calling you to solve the same problem. You haven't solved it. You're very efficient, but not effective, right? You don't help them solve the problem. You're very efficient in solving it very quickly. However, this customer keeps coming back to you. That's being efficient but not effective. But let's say if you um, repeatedly solve a problem, but it takes you long time, you do it very well. You do it once, you do it very well, but it takes you a really long time to solve a customer's problem. That's being effective. That means I can rely on you to solve the problem for sure, but I have to give you your time. It's a long waiting process for me. Okay. So you're not very efficient though, effective, very effective. Okay. So what would you say ideal situation would be? To solve a customer's problem correctly every time and quite rapidly. Okay. So I would say that's one example. So one of the tips that we can all take is initially try to get the correct solution, correct approach, but it may take you time, but over time you will get efficient about it. Nobody's, I mean, when you started learning your bicycle, uh, if you had a crooked body like this when you're riding a bicycle, it will keep falling, right? So when you learn to do that, so that but when you learned how to balance it, it took you a while because you were paying attention to holding this and you were ready, you were getting there. So that will give you practice. The same way, practice, keep practicing, trying to find out what is the correct way to do it. And for that, you need to find out the correct problem to solve. So finding out the correct problem to solve, working on the right technology areas, that's going to be your first and foremost goal in this. That is, you start with being effective. Once you figure that out, then you can aim for efficiency. How do I do it quickly? To start with efficiency, you may be working on the wrong problem and it will take you a long time to backtrack. Okay. So project planning. So the second example I have, you have asked for two examples. I'm going to give a second example. Project planning. Okay. So you can do it very efficiently. You can, there are several project planning software out there. You can give it and immediately generate a project plan. Give it to a generative AI. Any generative AI worth its salt can give you a plan in seconds, right? Great. I'm very efficient. I can give you a project plan in seconds. That's being efficient. However, you have taken the wrong problem to solve. They will give you an excellent plan, but for going to the wrong target. Okay, you're building the wrong software. Let's say the project plan is to build a software. You have the plan, it's there, it's ready to use. However, you have no idea what the customer wants. You start building it straight away. Is it going to be very effective for the customer? No. It's very efficient? Yes. Your efficient resources usage of time, it takes you 6 months to build a software and it doesn't work. Okay. So backtrack and you say, okay, I'm not going to build a plan straight away. I'm going to see what is it my goal is. What is it that I want to achieve in my project? It's going to take some fact finding, think about it. My other course, design thinking, is all about that, trying to find out who is the target, what do they really want, figure that out. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of patience, energy. Once you figure that out, and you know for sure you're doing the right thing, even then it may not be absolute right thing. Like the target bullseye, it may be somewhere around that bullseye. That's okay. Come back and you can have efficient plan and then you can work it. You can have try to have both of these. Okay. So that's what the chart really was all about, is trying to get both of these right. The doing the right things and doing it the right way. Okay, both of these need to be there for you to have a very effective, way to do things. And it could be a project, it could be customer support, it could be teaching, it could be studying, whatever it takes. Sham, do we have any more? Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for the detailed explanation for this question and the examples. We do not have any other questions, but if you want to address any general learner queries that may frequently pop up, we may do it now, or else we can announce the date for the next session and end this session, sir.
Okay, I was just trying to see if there are any questions in the chat. No, there are not. No, okay, fine. I was just making sure there are no questions there. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for that question, Mr. Visu. Great. So, general tips. I've already started with general tips. With the advent of AI, the steps in that we have described in this course become a lot easier for you to find. You can start with the questions of forecast. You can start with what is the technology you're working with. You can collect all the data that you need. You can collect all the information about function maps, and you can collect data about how do you look at the components of the technology. All of that information you can find it. You can do it easier with any LLM, large language model that you may have access to. it becomes a lot easier. So I would highly encourage you to use these tools to start working on what is it that you want. But keep in mind that you need the first organizational context to figure out what is it that you will need to focus on uh, for your again, the same, doing the right way and doing it the right, doing right things and the doing it the right way is, first of all, figure out what is it that the organization is interested in. What decision are we going to make? That is the goal. Tagline, you need to figure that out. It may take you a couple of iterations with your bosses, your professor, your advisor, and then start working on, okay, if that is the organizational context, what is it, the technology, the system that I need to be working on? So that's the next step that you would do. That would be an important first two steps. Once you do that, then you can break it down into, okay, these are the components that go into making the technology, and come up with qualitative analysis and the quantitative analysis, find out the drivers and the barriers that keep the evolution going and stops the evolution from happening. The factors that stop the evolution from happening are where people are focusing on to try and build solutions. You get that, and then you will know which all ways in which the technologies can evolve. Okay. And finally, to close it, you have to go back to the questions of forecast that you started off with and answer those and give it back to your advisor or your boss, or for the course, if it is presented back to your professor, and say, this is what I've learned from the technology and this is the decision that we have to go. Commit yourself to a decision. That's okay. You can always learn from that decision. Okay. So then go back and you have a full report. That full report definitely has to be there for your own sake, because technologies don't sit idle, don't sit static, keeps evolving. You need to keep updating your forecast also based on that. There's a profession called monitoring and mapping. So this is about monitoring technologies to find out, these are all futurists who look at technologies, what is going on, how does it evolve. So once you have a good firm grip on that, then you will be able to project it for any particular organization and see their needs and see if the technology is what they will need to for their decisions to be made. The business decision, it could be an investment decision, it could be a hiring decision, it could be any of those decisions that have to be made for strategic reasons, for long-term outlook. They will need this. Okay, so keep at it. I think I mean, nothing more better than keep on practicing and letting us know that you tried this out and this is what it is. If you're stuck somewhere, let us know in discussion forum or in the next live session, which Sham will announce the date very soon, and we will meet there. In the meantime, discussion forum is where we will all meet and we'll answer your questions. Yeah. Thanks so much, Sham. I think I'm quite done here.
All right. Thank you, sir, for that general discussion on how the next few weeks of this course will proceed. Yes, we would be there to answer your questions on the discussion forum. If you want to interact live with the faculty, we have the next live session on March 19th, Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. We will also be discussing about the exam related queries at this point. So please feel free to join this session uh, on March 19th. That's all from my side. Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank,
day.
thank you, everyone. Bye. Thank you, NPTEL team, for your help, and thanks, Sham, for putting this together. Bye, everyone. See you next time.